welcome to the Kryptonaut Podcast. I am Mark Storrs, and with me as always is...
I'm Chris Chronovisor.
And...
Rob Morphy.
Chris, fresh out of the bar. Mark, currently in COVID prison. And Rob, the master of the mic. We are back.
We are, yes.
Master of the mic.
And
Rob
I'm bringing... I don't know if... in fact... That said with a lot of irony, I know very little about audio recording and I fuck up my usage of the microphone constantly. So though I think you meant it as a compliment, it really is kind of a quiet barb.
I actually had a discussion with some of... Well, clearly. You know me. So I had a discussion with some Discord people, and I was going to come up with like a contraption, like a helmet with like 14 microphones on it so that you could just like wear this thing and you'd have like microphones everywhere. I was going to like staple it to your face in some weird like Clive Barker-esque fucking thing.
And you're going to make him a Cenobite?
Cenobite
yeah, exactly. It's like in life, I could not stay in the mic, but in death, I am the mic. And it's like on your face. So
in death, I am the mic. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah. I can actually picture this. This is kind of wonderful.
Patreon.com. Send us your money. Send us your cash. $1 is a shout out. $5 is a shout out and some bonus audio. Robert, we got some Patreon shout outs. Let's do it.
We sure as fuck do. And let's get into them post haste. Let's start with Laird Liam Spence.
Hell yeah.
Dude, that's fancy.
It is fancy. Are you a duke? Are you a lord? A lady? I'm not here to judge. That's awesome. Thank you. Next we have Timmy with an I, 1M, S. Timmy S.
What up, Timmy S?
Lorna Guzman.
Hell yeah, Lorna.
Amanda Kitty's Titties Reed. Oh,
hell
perfect.
Yeah. Kitty's Titties. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that made my night, Amanda. Thank you.
I actually, when I saw that come in, I was like, oh, that's fucking hilarious.
I love that. It's so obviously one of my favorite phrases. It's phenomenal. Next, we have simply Rocky.
Hell
yeah.
Of course, we all think of, the cinematic pugilist, of fame. But to me, that still harkens back to like some East Side Kids, some fucking Bowery Boys comedies from the turn of the century, where they all have that 30s pitter patter talk that we love to, shittily emulate. And it just reminds me of like old timey toughs somewhere in the Bronx. So
hell yeah,
thank you,
Rocky. Thank you.
Christopher Sutherland.
Hell yeah, Christopher.
Kurt Harper.
What up, Kurt? Thank you so much.
Trevor Bates.
Hell yeah, thank you so much.
Trevor. Nick Ross.
Hell yeah, Nick.
Yep.
Will Yeager.
Yeah, Will. Hell yeah,
or is it
brother?
maybe Yeager? I think it's Yeager.
Could be.
I always confuse
Yeager.
it. I've seen The Right Stuff, not the new Disney one, but the old like movie from the 80s. And Chuck Yeager or Yeager, I'm not sure which, was, obviously fucking monumental to America's Air Force and test programs. So awesome name. I hope we said it right. If not, the dealio. And we're going to end this with a shout out to an actual band, a group of musicians known as Chat Holly.
Hell yeah. Perfect. What is up, Chat Holly? Check them out on Instagram, at Chat Holly. You can find them there. They're a super cool psychedelic band. And thank you guys so much for supporting
I love
us.
that shit. We were literally just talking about that the other, I don't even remember if it was a Patreon or normal pod, where I was trying to remember Shire of Frodo or that's a fictional band, but like 60s psychedelic, Tolkien rock.
I'm not sure if they have any. I'm not sure if they have any Tolkien songs, but maybe if you ask, they could write one for you.
To like be down with Middle Earth to be psychedelic. Obviously, there are a lot of realms in which psychedelia probes with its mind fingers.
Fucking our boy, fucking Captain Beefheart. Fuck yeah, there you go.
Word, totes.
There it is. Okay, real quick, I got some other shout outs here. Blackie Anunnaki, what's up, my dude? Thank you so very much for listening. Over on the Discord, we got Andy Tay Bear, we got Noel, we got Snot doing the server boosting for us. Thank you all so very much for your continued contributions to that.
Fucking
we appreciate that. Also, too, we got Blue, we got Bone Daddy, and we got literally Jesus holding down the Discord while I am not able to be there, even though I have all the time in the world, but I can't seem to find time to do anything. Okay.
What's dope about literally all the names you just said, it feels like we've got like the greatest jazz octet, or I don't even know exactly how many
really.
names you said, but like fucking Bone Daddy and Snot and Blue and fucking just, I feel like they're just jamming in some smoky little shithole club where the walls are half rock and like old wood paneling, and it's just mildewy and whiskey fueled and brilliant.
They're jamming on our fucking Discord, so be sure to check that out. All right, this week we are talking about the Chronovisor. Time television or window into oblivion.
That's some fucking hard shit. Like, can you imagine the fucking realtor on that one? Oh, over here you got this pristine view of the white sand beach, and over here to the left you got a window into oblivion. You know, don't let the kids look too close. Their eyes might get burned out. It's all right. You get some shutters.
I don't know where you're selling real estate with that accent, but I want to be there.
It's South Florida. In my mind, it was South Florida. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. All right, cool. So let's get started with, in the 1950s, a group of eminent scientists were contacted by a Roman Catholic priest and invited to join a top secret project that had the power to change the world. These famed men of science were charged with the creation of an astonishing machine, which allegedly allowed its users to peer through the supposedly impenetrable veil of time itself. We're talking time travel here?
Or Oblivion.
Or Oblivion.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
That's true.
Or Oblivion.
Or Oblivion itself.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so
this is a
little bit different than what we normally do. So this is kind of cool.
It is our first time, I think, doing a specific pod about a piece of technology. And as will be revealed during the course of this story, I believe it is the first time we've actually touched on conspiracy. Like, we flirted with it and discussed the potential for it, but I don't know if we've dealt with something that is, you know, a de facto conspiracy, at least in the minds of some. So, new territory for us.
I mean, I've attempted to bring multiple conspiracies to the table, but I think most truth seekers, as I call myself, has been shot down. Not in reckless abandon, but probably in in a better situation for the show that we don't cover some of the things that I brought up. So this is close. Yeah. I mean, it's close.
Like, I mean, it is part of our mission statement to cover, you know, some of the grand conspiracies. And while I don't know, you know, how many we'll do when it's all said and done, there's definitely some out there that really are worth exploring.
So, like, not to get too heavy too early, but like conspiracy, like old conspiracy dudes like myself, like this shit used to be fun and it's not anymore. So
yeah, it stopped. Once the conspiracists actually had a foothold in mainstream society, then it started getting scary and stopped being like fringe delightful.
Yeah, conspiracy sold out. So it's not cool anymore. They're selling their t-shirts at Target and everyone has their records. So we got to go find something else. But anyway, Robert, let's continue on with the Chronovisor.
Indeed. Unraveling the mysteries of the past has been a passion, if not outright obsession, of humankind since the dawn of consciousness. Anthropologists, archaeologists, historians, paleontologists, and other representatives of the sciences have dedicated centuries to digging, pondering, speculating, and finally proclaiming their hard-won hypotheses, all the while tacitly acknowledging that it's only a theory based on, as often as not, scant, albeit hard-won, evidence. So now I pose a question. What would any scholar give to have a window into the past? A means with which to see and hear Saxon warriors eat, drink, and sing long-forgotten odes to glory in a now-rotting hall. A tool that could help them decipher the enigma of who built the Great Pyramids and how, or to be able to actually bear witness to a wild-haired, bulging-eyed, and barefoot Socrates orate on the cobblestone streets of Athens. It is the stuff of wild fantasy and science fiction, yet, if reports are to be believed, just such a device was actually constructed during the 1950s by a group of acclaimed scientists who were brought together under the auspices of the Vatican by celebrated Italian writer, musicologist, and Roman Catholic priest, Father Marcello Pellegrino Ernetti. It seems strange that a world-renowned team of scientists would find themselves in the service of a man of the cloth who, at the tender age of 16, joined the Benedictine order of monks and whose primary academic expertise lay in the field of archaic music. But that is precisely what happened, and it would be this clandestine cabal that very nearly shook the scientific and theological worlds to their cores.
So, like, sweet Vatican music, like whatever shredding they're doing is laying waste to fucking time travel. I like where this is going.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe that's not exactly where it's going, but I like your enthusiasm. I mean,
dude, yeah, he's just jamming out in the fucking Vatican, just whatever. I don't know, Chris, what do they play in the Vatican? Crosses or some shit? What do they do?
It's fucking papal Malmsteen.
Yeah. Nice.
Just
nice.
fucking
shredding.
Just shredding
Fucking
away.
Eucharists, shredding.
Yeah,
fucking
dude.
Do they use Eucharist instead of picks when they're hitting the mandolin hard?
Oh, yeah, they use the fucking body of Christ. Yeah, fucking.
They don't last because that shit's brittle, but
they don't. They don't get
But
that
they've got
shit
bags
wet.
of that shit. I was an altar boy. I know. They're packing with Eucharist, so you can replace that stuff fast.
All right, man. So we're shaking the world to its fucking foundation through metal and time travel. What else we got?
Clad in the black robes of his order, the cherub-cheeked, bespectacled Father Ernetti was an eccentric yet well-respected writer and an acknowledged authority on the history of ancient music. He was also, and this is awesome, the most venerated exorcist in Venice. This unique pedigree gave little indication of Ernetti's interest in esoteric electrical engineering or theoretical physics, but sometime during his late 20s, the young monk would have an earth-shattering epiphany. In the 1950s, while at the Catholic University of the Sacred Heart in Milan, which is the biggest private university in Europe and the largest Catholic university in the world, Father Ernetti was working under the Institute's inestimable founder and first rector, the Franciscan friar, physician, and psychiatrist, that's right, a triple threat, Father Agostino Gemelli.
Man, these guys got a lot of shit they're doing.
Oh, yeah. These people are like triple, quadruple threats, priest and musicologist, priest and, I don't know. I guess I'm a doctor and psych. So I'm a doctor of the mind and the body. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess they got a lot of time to do shit, apparently.
Well, dude,
the Vatican's like rich. Like they have their tentacles in all kinds of stuff. Like priests, they have a history of having their toes dipped in a lot of different things.
Yeah, from what I understand, they own most of the real estate in New York City. That's why the prices are so high. Oh, because it's all
I didn't know
Vatican.
That.
Yeah,
we know all like the upfront seedy and horrific.
Oh, you mean hiding pedophiles? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Hiding pedophiles?
Oh, yeah, and it's just it is an unforgivable shit show, and I couldn't agree more. And to coin, a phrase by a dear friend, I'm definitely a reformed Catholic, not just because of that, but for a lot of reasons. But on the other hand, for the what we're discussing now, there are a lot of really respected scientists. Like, it's not like the days of like burning heretics because, I don't know, they fucking said, gravity pulls things down or whatever dumb shit they were murdering people for, or fucking house arresting Galileo for the end of his days. They've really done a complete turnaround in terms of men of the cloth that are also men of science.
Yeah. All right, well, let those priests get married, Robert.
Yeah, I don't argue with that. Yeah. Okay. Focusing on neuropsychological and neurophysiological studies, Father Gemelli was that all too rare breed of devout man who valued the principles of science as much as the virtue of divinity. As such, Gemelli was a pioneer in striving to modernize the Roman Catholic Church, who took a decidedly dim view of those attempting to garner notoriety through the exploitation of pious and gullible parishioners. To that end, Gemelli was an outspoken opponent of the now canonized stigmatic and mystic Padre Pio. I'm sure you guys have heard of him.
Absolutely.
The Vatican asked the psychiatrist to conduct an examination of the priest, after which he described Pio as a man with, and I quote, a restricted field of knowledge, low psychic energy, monotonous ideas, and little volition.
Wow.
That's tough.
Low psychic energy?
Yeah.
That's a little weird to say about, like, coming out of the Vatican about somebody that's...
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if it's psychic in the way that we would think about it, like in terms of, powers beyond, or if it's psychic in the sense that he means just simple brain power. He doesn't know a lot. He doesn't have the capacity to think that much. His ideas, frankly, fucking monotonous. And you know what?
After
volition.
You say restricted field of knowledge, that's a little highfalutin to say, you don't know, you're kind of dumb.
Yeah, really.
So low psychic energy is very much a different thing, it seems.
I dig what you're saying there. And he was, in all fairness, a country priest with probably not a lot of education heading into it. I'm not an expert on Padre Pio by any means, but being a stigmatic and a guy that could allegedly levitate and all sorts of ill shit. Of course, I've read about him in the past. And so, yes, he might have been either a small town, maybe not all that bright of a priest that was either endowed with these supernatural powers or not. But definitely with a man like Jay Malee, who is a priest, but also a man of science, he's coming at it from a harsher perspective.
He took the long way around to tell him he's dumb.
It gets worse, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, cool.
He also made clear that he believed his stigma not to be of divine, but rather of chemical origin, some sort of caustic substance.
Yeah.
Following an examination of the wounds in 1925. That would be as kind as his criticisms got, as Friar J. Malee also referred to the mostly revered Padre Pio as, and again I quote, an ignorant and self-mutilating psychopath who exploited people's credulity.
Jeez.
Wow, okay. Low blow.
I don't know why, just be honest. Say what you think. Why you beating around the bush, J. Malee? Come on, spit it out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, shit.
It would be this assessment that disposed the Vatican to dramatically curb Pio's public masses. Clearly a man unafraid to air an unpopular or controversial opinion, one can't help but to surmise that J. Malee's audaciousness and respect for scientific facts, even ones that flew in the face of established doctrine, must have had a profound influence on the young musician and scholar, Father Ernetti. But during his tenure at the University of Milan, Ernetti was not collaborating with the austere J. Malee on matters concerning either the body or the soul. The pair was instead focused on the field of harmonics, specifically the filtering out of unwanted higher frequencies that were overlaid into certain recordings of Gregorian chants producing a distorted wave pattern. Now, I can understand each individual word there, but I would rely on Chris to explain what the fuck is going on.
I don't know, man.
I don't know what they mean by higher frequencies that were overlaid onto recordings. Like I don't know. I know what that means, but I don't know the point of that. Maybe
just these sounds that they didn't want on the final recording, and so maybe they weren't overlaid in the sense that they were put on after the fact, but were somehow there, intrinsic to the recording, and try to figure out a way to remove. I'm just wildly speculating.
But it says frequencies that were overlaid onto certain recordings seems to imply that it was after, but that could not be the case.
So like someone's fucked up the post-production?
No, you can't layer analog stuff that easily, I don't think. All right, anyway.
I mean, that's, I don't know. We're not engineers. Chris is the engineer. I have no idea.
That's just what they were working on. Right. And so we'll just leave that at that. It was a job uniquely suited to the youthful musicologist's keen ear. But what neither Ernetti nor the elder academic guiding him were prepared to discover within the harmonic labyrinth of the haunting plangent chants was a lone human voice hidden inside the makeshift magnetic wire recording. It was a voice that J. Malee recognized immediately as belonging to his father, Innocente. There were only two problems with that reality. The first being that J. Malee's father had not been present during the recording of the chant. The second being that he had died 3 decades earlier in 1923. J. Malee was astonished. As a man of the cloth, he was predisposed to a fundamental belief in life after death, but as a doctor and scientist whose reputation was founded on provable facts, he had never expected to once again hear the voice of the man who raised him, at least not on Earth. Before he died in 1959, the esteemed friar confirmed the reality of this unusual recording, and for those who knew him as a venerated intellectual who loathed unsubstantiated claims, the fact that Jamie Lee testified as to the veracity of the voice's existence was a revelation in and of itself. He was a guy that would not lie about something like that. He did not mind stepping on the toes of somebody as famous as Padre Pio and all of his acolytes, which were substantial. He was a man that believed in God, obviously, and dedicated himself to the church, but also a man of science. And so the fact that he confirmed that the sound was there at least adds to, I guess, the believability. And I'm not saying that the story is not going to spiral maddeningly from here, but that's an interesting point to make. The young monk was equally astounded by the recording, but it seemed he was less inclined to associate the sounds with what modern paranormal investigators refer to as EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. Of course, we're all familiar with that, and found that it was more in line with a speculative field of study inaugurated by Richard G. Woodbridge in 1969, known as paleoacoustics, which I will describe now. According to Woodbridge, the remnants of electromagnetic waves from another age, including random noises, music, and even voices, might be accidentally preserved within an environment, and that with sophisticated enough equipment, these waves might be reconstructed into a cohesive signal, thus revealing presumably long-lost sounds from antediluvian eras. One of the things that's most popularly associated with this is the idea that a potter's wheel moving with somebody decorating it, maybe, I don't know, with like a feather or something, some hard instrument, might, in like an early phonograph way, accidentally etch the sounds of what's happening around during the creation of said, vessel. By creating a bizarre version of the phonograph. At least this was one of the analogies that like Woodbridge suggested.
Right, and this too is a theory. I believe that a lot of people think this is what like hauntings are. There's like a replaying of something from the past. So it's pretty much the same idea, paleoacoustics.
But over a decade before Woodbridge gave this theoretical phenomenon a name, Father Ernetti was pondering its implications. What if every sight, sound, or action in humanity's past was, in some as yet inexplicable way, preserved within the layers of the universe, invisible and inaudible, just waiting to be accessed by the right technology? This passing idea would germinate into the seed of a theory which would grow into a full-fledged obsession for Ernetti, resulting in the greatest assemblage of scientific minds, all dedicated to a single scientific goal since the Manhattan Project. But this endeavor wasn't intended to shatter the world by splitting the atom. It was intended to gift, or as some saw it, curse, humanity with the ability to witness its origins with unflinching accuracy, regardless of the dogmas destined to be obliterated in the wake of the merciless march toward undiluted truth.
Whoa.
Well, that's a fucking sentence.
Holy shit, Rob. Kudos to you for writing that. I was trying to read it, and I'm like, good fucking luck pulling this one off. Way to go. Congratulations.
I'm going to drink some beer right now. And I'm not
yeah, I've already shotgunned 3 beers. So, yeah. All right.
Continue.
You're doing funnels.
I'm doing funnels over here.
Everything's been recorded. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm going to funnel another beer. Rob, continue.
It's an idea that must have seemed preposterous to those in whom Ernetti confided. But in that heady post-war decade, when the stars beckoned, scientists were considered national heroes, and the motto of better living through chemistry was used without irony, anything must have seemed possible. Now, like in any good time machine story, we're going to fucking jump ahead. Years later, in the early 1960s, Father Ernetti was riding in a ferry across Venice's magnificent Grand Canal when a chance meeting would forever change the course of his life. The man he met was a fellow writer and priest, Father Francois Bruna, and the result of this fortunate encounter would be that the world would finally be made aware of this humble monk's contributions to science. Ernetti was a fan of Bruna's work and shared with him a passion for ancient linguistics. During the course of their brief conversation, which, not surprisingly for men of the cloth, concerned scriptural interpretation, Ernetti mentioned that a decade before he had been part of a groundbreaking team who had built a machine with the power to end, once and for all, controversy surrounding biblical analysis. Can you fucking imagine that?
Wait, what?
So they're looking back in time to see if Jesus was in fact crucified and came back. Is that what they're doing?
100%.
Oh, by the way, that's what you're going to use it for, really? Well, it is the Vatican. I guess I can't get him too much. But come on, man, dinosaurs. Oh, they don't believe in dinosaurs. Shit.
I'm sure some do at this point.
Until they go too back, they go far. They go way back too far, and then all of a sudden, they're like, oh fuck, there's a pterodactyl. Jesus is riding it as he did in the day.
As he did.
Yeah.
Keep a hold of these thoughts, Mark, because this is going to all come into play.
Okay, fine. Jesus on a dinosaur. There you go.
Which is an awesome image. I don't remember what little tiny Bible comic that I found at the waiting room in a Long Gone Perkins now or whatever. But I definitely love them for their fucking over the top drama and fucking hideous drawings. But the one that had fucking Jesus on a dinosaur, or was somehow using it to poo-poo the idea of evolution, was brilliant.
Yeah, I have a couple of those stashed away somewhere. But yeah, Jesus rode a fucking T-Rex. So now what?
Yeah, with Storm in Savage Lands.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, clearly, obviously.
But anything. I mean, let's seriously
Jesus
fucking
Storm.
That's fucking
Jesus
awesome.
and Storm. He's hanging out with the X-Men team on that island with Forge and shit. There you go.
Oh, Chris Claremont. Write it up. Write it up, brother.
Chris Claremont.
So,
all right.
No, but honestly, just for a serious, just think about this. That is just it's a device, whatever it is. And once and for all, controversy surrounding biblical analysis are out the fucking window, which is an unfathomable thought. The idea that you can just have it so you can resolutely say, oh yeah, this is what the intention was. That is such an earth-shattering conceit, such a mind-blowing idea that you almost, it seems impossible. It seems like to have access to the way it was, especially for something involving anything theological, which is always, wars have been fought between people that both equally believe Jesus was a savior, equally believe that all the shit's true, except I don't like somebody in Rome, or fucking I think he turned left on his way to cavalry and I think he turned right, or fucking whatever. And then it comes to bloodshed over minute bullshit. To be able to fucking nail that fucking down and that's just for religion. When you think about it's the rest of the implications for the whole world, it's shit pants.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. No, 100%. That would change everything. That's what people like. If you could go back, and people are like, well, where would you go? If you could go back to somewhere and bring irrefutable proof, but you had one chance, that would change the fucking world. If you can go back and prove Jesus or whatever or not, that would fucking change everything. I mean, that would be the biggest change in human history.
100%. Beyond a doubt, 100%. And again, not to go back to Dinosaur Land with Mark as much as I love it, I would totally want to know what color these things were. Were they iridescent?
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
Fucking mind bogglers? Were they covered in feathers? Were they having academic discussions over the fire? I mean, were they much brighter than we give them credit for? Who the fuck knows?
No, they went back in time to see what Jesus was doing, apparently. So, all right. So now they have this technology.
We're going to get here.
Perfect use for it, I guess, but whatever.
His curiosity understandably piqued. Bruna agreed to meet the following day in Ernetti's tiny 12-foot by 12-foot monastic cell, wherein the musicologist described his startling revelation, beginning with the discovery of the captured voice of Innocente Gemelli, followed by his incredible team's efforts to bring his insights to fruition. Ernetti's revelation was most succinctly described by Austrian author and journalist Peter Krause in his book about the virtuoso cleric's machine, titled Father Ernetti's Chronovisor, The Creation and Disappearance of the World's First Time Machine, which was published in 1997. In it, Krause wrote, Ernetti was a priest and a scientist and a musicologist, one of the world's leading authorities on archaic music. He claimed to have yoked the insights of modern physics to the ancient occult knowledge of the astral planes to build, in secret, a time machine. The Chronovisor.
Maybe he's kind of cool. Maybe he's harnessing the occult in music to create a chronovisor. So maybe maybe his father's not disappointed in him, I guess. Maybe
it's
his
hard
dad's
to say.
okay with him.
I mean, fathers get disappointed, but what I will say about this, the idea of, and that's a great way to putting it, yoking the insights of modern physics to ancient occult knowledge of astral planes to build something.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
Regardless of what skeptical antennas instantly jut up when hearing it, the kid in me that would love to see what Spielberg could have done with this in his prime is like, the fuck is that?
Yeah, I know, right?
You always got a friend below, the bringer of knowledge. He's your boy. When you need something done, you know who to go to.
Well, he did offer up the old apple that said, be embarrassed of your crotch, but learn how to work fire. So, yeah, I guess knowledge is his bag.
There you go. See?
Convinced that his epiphany would change the world, Ernetti managed to present his theory to the most distinguished thinkers of his age, including the co-creator of the atomic bomb and winner of the 1938 Nobel Prize in Physics, Enrico Fermi, as well as former Nazi and rocketry pioneer Wernher von Braun.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. You're bringing NASA into this now?
Well, yeah. Evidently impressed by the young. Okay. All right. We cool. Are we cool with it? I mean, Fermi and von Braun, there's a lot to unpack here. We're talking two people that were part of the fascist wing of World War II who seem to make good after the fact, even though the V2 is something that's a hard reputation burster to get out from under. I mean, I know he managed to do it and we all got to the moon and that was awesome. And he became like a household name and a revered scientist. But you still killed a lot of innocent people in London, and
you're still a Nazi. You're still a fucking piece of shit Nazi. But so whatever.
Thanks for the moon, but you're not coming over for dinner. Fuck you, Werner.
Fuck Nazis,
Werner. Yeah. All right. So that's that. Evidently impressed by the young priest's hypothesis, Fermi brought in one of his top quote-unquote disciples, that's according to Crossa, as well as a Portuguese physicist known only as Professor de Matos. According to Ernetti, the group also included a, quote, Japanese Nobel Prize winner in physics, which effectively narrowed the candidate list to one man. I mean, thank God for Wikipedia nowadays. I was able to figure out there's only one guy from Japan that won the Nobel Prize in physics before the time this thing was supposed to be built. And that man is Nobel laureate Hideki Yukawa, who won the coveted prize in 1949 for his prediction of the existence of mesons on the basis of theoretical work on nuclear forces, which of course I know we all knew, but I just felt obliged to say it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I make predictions all the time about the existence of mesons on theoretical nuclear forces, but no one cares what Mark does.
No, yours are about Masons.
Oh, sorry.
And the Illuminati and
my
reptoids.
Masonic theories, and the
Not
alleged
Mason,
the alleged moon.
It's a fine line, a thin margin, but yeah, it's significant, Mark. Yeah,
alleged moon. Fuck Nazis. Continue.
In all, over a dozen esteemed scientists participated in bringing to life Ernetti's vision, which they built into a large wooden cabinet complete with a cathode ray tube and an array of buttons, dials, and levers, which were used in conjunction with its incredibly complex internal mechanisms made from no less than 3 precious alloys to literally tune in to any time or place and replay the events as if they had been recorded, then broadcast onto a television.
So they got like interdimensional television from fucking like Rick and Morty, but it's like time television?
It is not. It is not interdimensional television, nor is it like Devs, if anyone's watched that show, and I highly recommend you do. It's a fascinating show. It is not about peering into parallel worlds. It is, at least in the context of what Ernetti explained, yes, it is simply time on Earth 1, presupposing we're Earth 1, though we're probably like Earth 36 AB.
Yeah, who knows?
But you're watching it on a TV.
But you're watching it through a cathode ray tube, literally. So a TV.
Right. Okay. Anytime or place, and replay the events.
That is what is said. Now, I'm a little unclear if it is like limited to the geography of the space, like if you would have to say, bring the device to a certain geographical point to see what happened there, or if it can tune in to any person or place remotely.
I would assume no, because I doubt they would have traveled. It doesn't seem like they traveled the globe to bring them to different places if they need to.
I don't think so. I think you might be right. I don't think that's what they're implying either. Yeah, I think they're suggesting that they are somehow able to extract from the environment. And I'll say this now. When asked how the chronovisor worked, Ernetti answered simply, by processing residual electromagnetic radiation left over by numerous processes. Vague as fuck, unsatisfying as hell. But just taking it for what it is.
The science is there, clearly.
Mark.
Electromagnetics would be the only way you could read from the environment a past event. Now that doesn't mean that I think that makes that statement measure up. Maybe he was just trying to explain it simply to Bruno, who didn't have his same, scientific training. I don't know. But that is how he explained it to the fellow priest in his little tiny cell, sipping some tea that one day in the early 60s. But yes, that's the mind boggler. And didn't the TV show Fringe? I watched 1 or 2 episodes with you, Chris, back in the day, but I never really saw
I remember that.
They had a visor, but that one looked into alternate Earths, right? Not our past or it,
Yeah, because there were different versions of them they actually found, I think. At least one other alternate one that I remember, vaguely that I remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So, it's not unknown. I know that trope has been used by authors over the years, and then it's something that humanity has toyed with, at least in their imagination. The idea of somehow extracting these events from the ether, wherever and however, electromagnetic radiation, evidently, and then being able to find a way to make it a cohesive image and audio track and be able to see and hear. Now, again, all of our hackles should be up in terms of being skeptical, but on the off chance something like that could be done, boy, that's fucking fascinating.
Yeah, there's a lot there, but okay.
I feel like it would be chronicled a little better.
Yeah, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Will we?
We'll get to why it wasn't allegedly.
Okay.
Are you for shadowing papal assassins?
Not exactly, but not totally incorrect.
The Pope's secret assassin squad.
Yep.
Ninja Popes.
The Red Cardinals.
Dope.
Yeah, the
Blood Cardinals.
The Praetorian Samurai.
Oh God! All right,
it gets pretty awesome. No, it doesn't.
What are Rogue Cardinals? They're not Ronin. What are they?
Oh, what would they be? Oh, God,
Rogue Cardinal. I have no home or people.
All right, I am the church. I have no church.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Robert, let's do it.
And now we're going to get to something Mark very specifically addressed moments ago. It was then that the fascinated Father Bruna asked the very question that would be on the tip of any theologian's tongue. Had Father Ernetti been able to bear witness to what is arguably the most momentous, traumatic, and ultimately inspiring crime in history, the brutal torture and murder of a man known to his family and friends as Yeshua, but who was recorded in history as Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus of Galilee, and most significantly to Christians, Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Father Ernetti. I'm blown away.
No, this was literally what I was just saying earlier. If there's a moment,
right, that you want to know when he gets stabbed with the spear of fucking Longinus or whatever, fucking yeah.
Well, if you have a priest whose guidance and vision, if we're just going to take it at face value, was the spearhead, not to make a Longinus joke, of making this fucking come to be, then of course one of the first things they're going to look at is if the foundation of everything they've dedicated their lives to is fucking real or not.
All right, so they looked into it. What did they have to say about that, Bobby?
Father Ernetti understood the import of his fellow clergyman's query, and in measured tones responded, "We saw everything. The agony in the garden, the betrayal of Judas, the trial, cavalry." Which is the same as Golgotha, in case anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. There was a cavalry that was there?
Cavalry.
Oh, I thought there was like a bunch of dudes on horses with swords and shit.
No, that's a different word.
Okay,
you know, if I can digress just for a heartbeat into a fun thing I discovered in the writing of this, is that we know Golgotha is the place of the skull. It translates from, you know, Greek and Syrian, you know, as skull. But when you get to the canonical Gospels, they use the term cranion for the place where Jesus was crucified, which is often translated as skull in English, but actually means cranium. So that's the, you know, so it basically means the same thing, but it is rendered in Latin as, what the fuck was it? Calvarea locus or something like that. I can't speak Latin, which is where cavalry comes from. So it still stems from the same etymological origin, which is your fucking dead head.
So I was close.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
No, that's one no one needed to know.
They're right. The word's close. It's not quite same.
Okay. But. All right. I mean, I was there. Golgotha, Spear of Longinus. Fucking there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm proud of you. You know the Spear of Longinus. The Spear of Destiny, some say. The thing that leads
I bailed
crazy
out
people
on,
into battle, like Hitler.
I left I left Sunday school because I got scared of the devil. Whatever. He's my friend now. We're fine.
I had no idea that was the situation.
Yeah,
I left because I was bored to fucking tears. But hey, we all have our reasons.
I got nervous I was going to hell. I was like, I'm out. See you later. I'm not doing my confessions. Peace. I'm going to go watch the X-Men cartoon. Peace out.
That, you know, that could have gone the other way. A lot of people that are actually afraid of hell actually get more dedicated. So I'm proud of your commitment to Saturday morning cartoons and whatnot.
I just freaked out because I thought I was I was gonna go to hell, and then they were like, "We want you to become a priest." I was like, "No."
Of course. Well, that's all.
I think I like boobies, so no. I'm too young, but they look awesome. No. So, and the X-Men cartoon was on. So, there's my tale. Continue.
That's funny. My tale is similar in the sense that, but being older, it was reruns of the Herculoids. And I was just like, I can't leave this, Ma. There's monsters and warrior princes and aliens in the same fucking cartoon.
There you go.
The Lord will have to wait until he can up the game a little.
At like 11 years old, I was like, I'm definitely going to hell. I'm not sure if the devil's going to dig me, and I might like boobs. So bye. And the X-Men.
Done.
See ya. Done. Out.
Ernetti went on to explain that he and key members of his team had not only bore witness to the crucifixion of Christ, but had also watched Napoleon in battle and seen and heard the Roman philosopher Cicero wax metaphysical. And, as if all of this wasn't flabbergasting enough, experiments with the apparatus revealed that the future was as open a book as the past. Let that one sink in.
Okay. I don't know what that even means.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I know what it means.
You can't see just the past. Time is what it is. The future is wide open for you to explore too. So you don't just see what happened in complete, reconstruction of the actual events.
Right.
But you can do the same for things that have yet to transpire.
So it's already been predetermined. Huh. Interesting.
Well, according to this, yeah.
Okay.
Weird. And according to Einstein, I mean, he basically said, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but it's basically what he said, that the future and the past are set in stone. There are a lot of physicists that are equally sure that it's just a complete illusion or some sort of fucking quirk in our genetic makeup that means that we perceive time in one direction. And it's the only thing we can fathom. And it's the only thing we can do. We would literally drive ourselves insane. We would all become Dr. Manhattans, but fucking with diapers and bibs and fucking tears.
Yeah.
If we had the ability to perceive the world as these physicists say it actually exists.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's one for my simulation theory. There it is. Boom. Scored it. Fuck you, Moon.
Oh my God. You.
Yeah.
The thunderstruck Bruna was justifiably perplexed. Though Ernetti was considered to be nothing short of brilliant by his peers, and among the world's preeminent scholars in the field of archaic musical compositions, his name was relegated to a few obscure corners of academia, when, if what he said was true, Ernetti ought to be mentioned in the same breath as Einstein. When Father Bruna asked why the Chronovisor and its creator were not now household names, he was stunned by Ernetti's reply, that he and his team had decided to dismantle the machine, After they had seen what it could do, they understood that while scholars, philosophers, and historians could use the chronovisor to enhance their knowledge of their world, in more nefarious hands, it could be the most oppressive tool ever wielded against humankind. Ernetti added that whether the gadget fell into the hands of a respected government or a despotic rogue, the chronovisor and the sudden death of privacy it predicted might be responsible for the rise of the, and I quote, most fearsome dictatorship the world has ever seen, end quote. And as such, the potentially devastating device was disassembled and stored away in the vast labyrinthine catacombs of the Vatican vaults, purportedly never to be used again.
No, it's
the fucking Ark.
Yeah,
it's the Ark again.
Yeah, that's right. The dude's fucking face melts and the old knight's there and shit, and Han Solo shows up. It's fucking awesome.
No, you're conflating, Mark. you're bringing a lot of
droids come in. They defend the frontier against the Kodan Armada.
Yeah, dude. Fucking the dude from Rocky's there, and he's like, Mando, and everyone's fucking hanging out. Oh, shit. All right, I drank way too many beers. All right, help me.
Never.
Just
help me.
Help me. I've been sober my entire quarantine. I had 2 beers. I'm on like 7. So
speaking of which, everyone get ready for the great pour. And again,
the great pour.
It's because people here, they're like, who's pissing? Who's breathing like Vader? It's both me. It's the fat old asthmatic who likes his whiskey. I'm going to do my best to not do either. But now you're going to hear the pouring and the ice cubes. Because I need to keep it kind of cool so I don't choke up on it.
You're not using fruit to keep up with your healthy routine?
The ice cubes are strawberries.
Oh, good. Excellent. Wow. Once again, the Wapatula.
I like to put them in about 20 minutes early so they soften on the outside and don't clink.
Wapatula. When this is all over, can we have a big pod Wapatula party? Is that cool? Like, should we just do that?
Oh, my God. And we'll invite anyone who can make it here.
Exactly.
Once we're all immune and everything's great.
Oh, that's actually a good fucking idea.
We're all going to Chris's apartment, and we're going to have a Wapatula party.
This is the worst place to do it. You're going to your fucking house. You have a house and a backyard, you bastard.
Yeah, I don't know if my wife would be down. Well, she's kind of cool. We'll see.
Oh, she's going to deal with it.
Everyone needs to meet Nicole. She's a goddamn saint.
She is. She's been dealing with me all week with me freaking out. I'm like, I have a sore throat. I have a cough. She's like, fucking stop. You have allergies. And I'm like freaking out about COVID. Anyway.
Okay, listen, we'll have a Patreon raffle for 10 people to come and party with us.
Oh, yeah. But you got to pay your own way. We can't afford that shit.
That's true. You win. You win the
right to allowance.
Yeah.
We supply the booze. So
we'll supply the fucking booze if you can.
And a couch to crash on, I guess.
I mean, you can't stay here, but you can stay wherever you want.
You can half of you can stay at Mark's because I already said so. It's already out in the ether.
Look, bring your camping gear. You can tent in my backyard. It's fine. It's no big deal.
There's
I'll have my pool.
Summer Wapatula party.
I'll have my pool by then. So there you go. All right. So let's get back to the chronovisor. Shit's getting deep here, man. Shit's getting fucking creepy. They're taking shit apart. There's a papal diocese. There's a fucking ninjas of Jesus. Like, what's happening?
The Red Cardinals.
The Red Cardinals. Yeah. I want to use the chronovisor to see how good this party's going to be, to be honest, at this point. Because now all I am is excited.
If it's all a simulation, it's going to be fucking bomb. So
even though the machine gets taken apart, and it's shipped away to the Vatican catacombs, that does not mean that Father Ernetti was finished telling people about it, or that, as rumors of its existence, spread, folks weren't coming out of the woodwork to find out everything they could about this world-shaping apparatus. One curiosity seeker was Professor Giuseppe Marasca, who in the late 1960s befriended Father Ernetti. When asked for proof of the chronovisor's existence, Ernetti provided Marasca with a stack of handwritten notes that the priest had scribbled down. Marasca took the notes home and was astounded when he realized that he had been given a transcript of the long-lost final play, Thyestes, by the father of Latin poetry, Quintus Ennius, who we all know. I mean, come on, the father of Latin poetry, who lived between 239 and 169 BCE, had finished his final play based on the writings of the first century author Seneca, just before his death, and although all but a few lines had been lost to the ages, Maraska found himself reading the complete text. For years, the professor held this precious gift close to his vest, eventually sharing it with a select few, including Father Bruna. But the most famous and controversial piece of evidence Ernetti provided regarding the reality of the Chronovisor was a photograph that appeared in the Italian magazine La Domenica del Corriere on May 2nd, 1972. Within the article, with the underwhelming title, "A machine that photographs the past has finally been invented."
Oh man,
about fucking work time, on that guys.
You gotta work on that title. Like, come on.
Within that article, there was an image that purported to be of a crucified Jesus staring skyward with an imploring, "Why hast thou forsaken me?" gaze.
Vintage. They got a picture of Jesus crucified?
Vintage Jesus. It's black and white. It's awesome.
It's obvious. Yes.
Okay. It's something the fuck else. Not long after the image was published, however, came critical backlash which asserted that the photo that was said to be of the actual Jesus was actually a picture of a wooden sculpture of the Christian icon made in 1931 by Spanish artist Lorenzo Colalt Valera, on display in the Sanctuary of Merciful Love in Collevalenza, Italy. Undaunted by the negative reaction, Father Ernetti denied the charges, but insult was added to injury when he was officially ordered by his superiors not only to no longer speak about his incredible invention, but to confess to having made the whole thing up. The chastised priest complied with the commands and became a recluse until his death in 1994 at the age of 68. Those who knew the quiet scholar and priest, however, understood that his silence was his way of fulfilling his duty to the church that he so loved and not a concession of guilt. Father Bruna, who in a 2002 book he wrote about his old friend titled The Vatican's New Mystery, was convinced that papal authorities had forced Ernetti into making this bogus confession. As to why the photo of the Nazarene so closely resembled Valera's statue, Bruna asserted that the artist had been guided in his efforts by a nun who'd had a miraculous vision of Christ's crucifixion. According to an article on the subject to be found on unmuseum.com, and I quote, "The artist translated the nun's vision exactly into the sculpture. The sculpture and the photo look alike because they both are true representation of Christ's face, one coming to us via the Chronovisor and the other through the nun's vision," suggested Bruna.
That's
I mean,
convenient.
That's just wicked convenient.
Yeah,
that is super convenient. Yeah, it looks like a statue that was divinely inspired based on the actual photo that was scientifically made.
It's fucking exact because he saw it exact. What the fuck? It's true.
Are you guys morons? What's going on here? I'm Father Bruna.
Fuck up.
I am a French priest.
This sounds like a good time for Big Lou to pop in to start fucking giving some papal fucking discipline to these fucks.
Obviously, Big Lou is a pseudonym for Father Francois Bruna because he's clearly
proto Big Lou.
Yeah, that's it. So, all right. Again, I think as we all said, convenient. So cool. All right, a vision
convenient.
And time travel. Yeah.
But to give the devil his due, or in this case, the opposite side of the fence, if that's what happened, I mean, it could be true. Sometimes really convenient things that obviously make my skeptical hackles fucking start screaming and getting razor sharp. I'm just saying, I don't think this is the case.
No.
It still could be what is happening. The same article goes on to state, what can we make of this strange story? It would be easy to dismiss Father Ernetti as a crackpot or compulsive liar. Outside of his entanglement with the Chronovisor, however, Father Ernetti was an extremely respected but quiet intellectual whose specialty was archaic music. He spent most of his life doing research and teaching on the subject and was the author of such respected books as Word, Music, Rhythm, and the multi-volume work General Treatise on Gregorian Chant. Why would such a respected clergyman, academic, and author make up such a wild story? Author Peter Krasa must have agreed with these assertions when in 1997 he wrote, "Many have disputed Father Ernetti's claims, regarding which the Benedictine monk fell strangely silent in the last decade of his life. They say this distinguished scientist priest was not telling the truth. But why would the brilliant Father Pellegrino Ernetti, so accomplished in other fields that his counsel was sought all over Europe, be driven to such a fabrication?" End quote. Those are valid points. Why a respected scholar, especially one who worked under the tutelage of as inspiring a truth seeker as Father Gemelli, would weave such an elaborate and easily disproven ruse is almost unimaginable. A more logical question might be, why would Father Ernetti lie to cover it up? What did he, or his loved ones perhaps, have to lose? Of course, in a hypothetical field as fertile as the one occupied by the Chronovisor, conspiracy theories as to its alleged uses have sprung up like weeds. Could it be that Vatican officials are keeping it under lock and key, exploiting it for their own benefit, hiding the sordid truths behind venerated biblical figures and their less than saintly lives? Predicting and influencing the future for their own ill-gotten profit? Is it possible that the information is being doled out to the highest bidders, desperately striving to maintain control of their corners of the world, or more insidiously still, by large industrial cabals hell-bent on manipulating the fate of civilization to match their own twisted whims? Or, less sinisterly, have they seen through the Chronovisor what can happen to the planet and its population if something as influential as this infernal mechanism is released, and, in a desperate bid to save the world, they've concealed it for our own good? Either way, there can be no doubt that the Vatican vaults conjure up the same sense of intrigue as other forbidden collections, like the fictional warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, like Mark mentioned, or the very real Area 51 and Utah Proving Grounds, which some claim conceal secrets that would shake humankind to its core. But unlike military installations which allegedly focus on the merely extraterrestrial, the Vatican archives are said to secure some of humanity's most magnificent achievements as well as its most heretical abominations. And, in the end, maybe the Chronovisor is a little bit of both. Whatever the truth may be, Bruna maintained that these same secret keepers who were hiding the Chronovisor kept a close watch on Father Ernetti in the last decades of his life. The question remains whether they were doing so to protect the world from his invention or to protect it for themselves. And that is the Chronovisor.
The Chronovisor, it's going to change the world or destroy it, or it's not real.
Or it's not real.
It's not real.
So,
so
a big pile of bullshit is absolutely a valid response.
Okay, well, you know, I love a good conspiracy, and a big pile of bullshit is just not fun. So if this dude did create this, whatever they said that it was like some weird box with, what did it have, like some sort of
a wooden
shit
cabinet
inside of it? Yeah.
Levers, buttons, and dials.
Right.
Internal mechanisms made of precious alloys.
Precious alloys. That's it. I thought it was gems.
No, it was alloys.
It was alloys.
No, it's got to be like silver, tungsten, gold.
I mean,
yes,
I guess,
and various processes.
Yes, there's multiple processes.
Bearing in mind, this is the it's somewhere in the 50s. I don't have a specific year. And so we're dealing still with very fucking analog tech.
So if they did create this Chronovisor to peer into the past and apparently into the future, I guess it would be a situation of, is this going to be used for good or for evil? And I think we all know which way it's going to go. It's going to be evil. It's just the way that it works out. So I mean, did the Vatican save us? Or are they using it to be the puppet masters that the fucking reptilians want them to be, or whatever? Like, are they being controlled by the fucking Anunnaki?
What you're basically, you're eschewing the skeptical side, which we usually go for first to deal with the big issues, and I like that. So if indeed this is real, and it is also indeed being kept under lock and key by the Vatican, then to what end? I get your cynicism is not unfounded in the idea that, you know, a lot of things that are of great power get put to nefarious use. There's no doubt about it. But then you have to really ask yourself, if this is legit and this machine can really do what is purported and not just break down everything in the past, but like reveal what's going on in the future, then it could be put to really insidious uses. And maybe one of the best things you could do is just dismantle it. Now, look at it from the point of view of the Vatican. If in any way Jesus is like butt ugly or fucking likes to scratch his balls a lot when he's giving the Sermon on the Mount, or anything that is a human foible, and that was supposed to be his grace, that he had human foibles but was still, you know, marked and infused with the divinity of his Father, and anything that might reflect bad on him, they would put that under wraps. If you find out that other shady shit went on, or if you find out that none of it was legit at all, and it would, you know, just shatter all of their earthly and heavenly beliefs, then it would be definitely in their best interest to put a fucking lid on it. And they would do so.
So if they go back and they see Jesus and they're like, oh shit, he doesn't look European, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
then they
no
kiboshed
doubt.
it.
Yes.
Like, really? I mean, that's one of the biggest things, is that Jesus wouldn't look like that. So
if
like,
you go by the story, the information that they did say they got, nothing that they said was what their religion is based on. They're like, hey, we saw a dude get crucified and tortured. Yeah, well, no shit. That's a Jewish hippie who had ideas and got killed for him.
Yeah, basically.
That's what they saw.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah, he was throwing things in the face of you know, the Jewish bureaucracy and the Romans just looking to put down any grief and not wanting any fucking riots, because they have all these satellite fucking colonies they have to take care of, and no planes, no internet, no way to quickly communicate. They have to suppress things quick. Just saying, all right, hey, if you want to kill him, that's up to you guys. And then they just kind of went through with it. Like, that is a common practice for people claiming divine origin, and that might upset the apple cart. And in those days, a savior was really, really close to being a revolutionary. And that was totally in their interest to put a kibosh on it. So what Chris is saying is not untrue. If you just saw a Jewish dude, you know, who's basically starting a spiritual and potentially physical, if it keeps going, revolution, getting put down by authority figures that are just looking to maintain status quo, that's not an uncommon thing.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, you didn't, if you really wanted to put your stamp on the global control of the religion, then you needed to find the resurrection. You need to find the miracles, find Lazarus, right? Find him making a billion haddock.
Yeah,
on a beach.
The lepers suffering. You're right. No,
right?
Like the greatest wedding party ever.
Find him ascending into heaven.
Yeah, didn't Jesus like have a bear kill a kid or something at one point or some shit? Wasn't it?
No, that's another religious figure. That was not Jesus.
I got my religious figures. Didn't Jesus kill a boy once?
Well,
by a bear?
There's Gnostic texts where he did kill a kid and resurrect him.
Yeah, he threw a kid off a roof. And he's like, sorry.
Just like for the fun of it, like backyard wrestling with Jesus. Oh, sorry, Timmy's dead. He's alive.
Yeah,
awesome.
He's like, easy W. And they're like, dude, you just killed him. And he's like, I'm sorry.
I'm going to fix that shit.
He sent him to the fucking spiked ring and it was over. All right. So if they did have this power and they did go back and they did see this shit, I'm going towards the fact that maybe because it was going to be used for nefarious purposes, okay, maybe we just dismantle it. But knowing the Vatican as we know it, you know, maybe they were like, fuck it, let's keep it for ourselves and we can continue our global cabal of pulling strings.
Oh, wait,
and
you mean
shit.
The guys that have the shadiest bank in the world and have hit a fucking
pedophilia
ring for like a century?
Vatican and what they're doing right now.
If the Vatican was going to do something evil, which they do on a pretty fucking regular basis, this is definitely something that they'd be like, oh shit, and they got it. That was my Giuseppe. There you go. He's like, fucking, I got this shit. Let's go do evil shit.
The only way they would dismantle it is if they were able to look at something and it behooved them.
Yes,
to do this.
100%.
That's the only way.
Yes, if they saw through the chronovisor, as I sort of mentioned as the less sinisterly part, though it could go both ways, that the existence of this machine might somehow herald their own doom, or
right.
if information spread, it would either in a way that, where they're being self-protective, it might destroy the power of the church, or might actually end the world. So the church wouldn't give a fuck either way because it can't continue to exist in a worldless world. Then that would be an impetus to dismantle the machine and just put it in that big old Raiders of the Lost Ark archive, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
Right, because then you can just kind of literally push it under the rug, and then there is no problem and everything's fine. So yeah, I guess I'm assuming that they would use it for their own nefarious purposes. I guess the idea of them trying to save the world, where they're like, no, big corporations and whatever, like, they foresaw Jeff Bezos and shit like that, and the current situation. Bear in mind too,
this part, Mark, that part is literally Father Ernetti. And whatever scientists, I don't think the team of 12 or whatever, the apostles of Ernetti, not to take it too far, were always there. I think it was different groups that might have moved in at different times, though I'm not 100% sure about that. But whomever he was with, that kind of makes sense, that really educated people. And if he is just a decent man, and I don't know what caliber of man Father Ernetti was, but just to give him the benefit of the doubt, if they saw what it could do, I could see them taking it apart. But I could also see, because Ernetti was not, willing to shut his mouth about it, and he wanted to, as the years went on, he still was like, I kind of did this awesome thing, but don't worry, we hit it, where the Vatican might take control of it. But the initial decision, and this is the point I was making, to dismantle it was Ernetti and whatever group of, learned thinkers were around him. And I can see a small cabal of individuals, even if they're not particularly, socially upright and decent human beings, seeing that this could go south really bad for everyone on the planet. So we better fucking put the kibosh on this.
So they were like the little secret group that's like, oh no, we can't let the fucking people know about this shit. We got to hide it because it's going to go evil. So, okay. All right. I could definitely see that. So the one bit of proof that he did claim to have here was it was a photo of of Jesus on the cross or whatever.
And the transcript of the ancient, play.
What was his name? Euronymous.
Quintus Ennius?
Euronymous. Jesus Christ. Fucking mayhem.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's Euronymous.
He's the guy that was killed for mayhem. So it wasn't Euronymous, but it was whoever the dude from fucking
Quintus Ennius, yes.
I'm sorry, Quintus Ennius. So he claimed to have Quintus Ennius's play in the picture of fucking Jesus, which also apparently a nun saw in a vision. Again, I mean, if that Quintus Ennius play is around, then you can verify that, yes, he did write it, but I don't think you can, because I'm pretty sure Quintus Ennius is fucking dust.
Right, we're going to go even further into the Ennius rabbit hole. And that is when Crassa, when he wrote his book, he hired, or the publisher hired, Dr. Catherine Eldred of Princeton University to translate the text, so it's actually in the context of his book. And not only is it like only 120 lines, so it's about 10 times too short, she went on to say, and I don't know where her agenda is, but whatever, that she felt that there was a pretty good chance that Ernetti wrote it himself. Because some of the Latin text that was used might have not come into vogue until a couple of centuries after Ennius perished.
Yeah.
So that's part of it too. All right, now I'm going to throw another one on the table because we need to have it all full disclosure.
No. Oh no.
Please fucking do.
But this is something that kind of gets my ire up, and it reminds me of some Loch Ness shit that we've been down this road before, and some Bigfoot stuff. And that is this: an anonymous relative or person that claims to be a relative of Ernetti claimed that he was given, or she, a deathbed confession that said that the photo and the play were creations that he had made to convince the world that this thing existed. But, and you know how I feel about anonymous confessions of debunkers, that, the whole world embraces that without a problem, but they don't. But this is a really interesting twist that kind of throws a monkey dick into this. And that is the same source, quote unquote, claimed that Ernetti swore while he was dying that the machine was real and functional, but these pieces of evidence weren't. I don't understand how even this jives together.
Wait,
but if the anonymous debunker who says like I'm the long lost cousin of fucking Pellegrino Ernetti, and he told me on his deathbed that, you know, the photo was shit and the play was just some shit I made up. I thought it'd sound good, but I promise you the machine worked. I don't know how that helps the agenda.
No, yeah.
All right, look, I made this shit up. The rest of the shit's real.
Listen, I lied all my life, but this fucking time machine that sees all things is real.
Yeah, all right. I mean, look, man, honestly, I want this to be real. I love,
of course,
shit like this. I think it's fucking awesome. And I guess a part of that is me saying that, yes, it is being used for nefarious purposes, and that's just the fucking way the world's going to end. Or they did actually see the fucking simulation theory, and they're like, oh, fuck, we're ruled by some crazy fucking psychedelic aliens running this shit, and we just have this weird little play going on with Jesus and Nazareth, and we're just playing along with this bullshit. That's my own
That's my favorite theory, the psychedelic alien comptrollers that are fucking because pulling the bureaucratic button. See, I never added that to the equation of...
Think about it like this.
No,
right?
Why would you have?
if they used harmonics or some form of magic or whatever they're doing to actually see through whatever fucking simulation that we're living in, if they actually broke through that barrier and they're like, oh fuck, this is what it really is, it's like the fucking Matrix, then of course they're going to be like, oh shit, we better fucking we can't undo reality, so fucking let's just stop doing this shit. Not undo reality like physically, but like their own reality of like, oh fuck, we just broke down the barrier.
Like you're saying,
if they did get a peek behind the curtain,
and there's a lot to unpack here. If they found that the wizard was just not a bulbous-headed sweet deity, but a fucking weird old dude behind a curtain, that they decided like, well, it's better to let human beings continue in ignorance and live their lives because to know this is terrible. But as much as I find that fascinating, at no point is this story, Mark, actually about a simulated Earth theory and looking behind the curtain.
No,
what
I'm
it
just
is about is
being
able to see the totality of humanity and pre-humanity's past, and evidently the totality until its eventual decline and ending of the universe's future. So that's not necessarily a glimpse behind a curtain.
Yeah.
That's just saying you get to know everything. You get to know for sure how this happened, how this went down, who killed Kennedy, how many people was it? Was it a conspiracy or was it a crack shot of an asshole? You know, and you get to know.
Yeah, my own speculation is that they got a peek behind the curtain, and then they were like, "Oh shit, this is all a fucking simulation. We got to fucking, you know." That's all my own speculation. That's me being speculor with my slime pit.
Yeah,
doing my thing. So,
I actually completely forgot about the fucking that this story is like. First of all, it's just like, hey, I found this weird audio thing. I fucked around with some frequencies and I found my dad's fucking voice.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Innocente.
And then it just jumps to, oh yeah, by the way, I know all things in all times.
Yeah.
That is the most frustrating part of this, hands fucking down.
I'm like, hey, can you give me a little bit in between there? Look what'd you do.
And evidently,
they totally skipped over the Empire Strikes Back. They
by
totally
Bruna.
Skipped it.
No, it's a valid point, Mark. And by Crossa, stay vague on that point. Like I get great inventors, great minds of humanity, Madame Curie, fucking Einstein, the whole bulk of it are inspired by things. You know, Einstein famously by sitting on a train and looking at a dude in a platform and thinking, what if? And so I'm okay with that part, that hearing this phantom voice, I'm like, oh, how are you trapped in time? Now, an EVP is a whole different thing. And let me drop that that ball for a second. We'll deal with that in a heartbeat. But if it inspired him to start thinking about elements of the past, both visual and auditory, being trapped somehow within the universe and maybe being able to access it, I'm fine with that. But I want to know the steps it took, because I don't know how brilliant Ernetti is. I mean, obviously he's a well-respected scholar in terms of ancient music and its history, and that's his passion, and he followed it. Also a passion for Christ, because obviously, you know, not using your dick forever means you really care about this subject, and that's great too. But if he's considered brilliant by his peers, but is he that brilliant? And even so, and this is the other part I would like to know more about, how the fuck, I mean, all right, so maybe Enrico Fermi, maybe because you're well regarded by the Vatican. You can get a meeting with, Italy's preeminent physicist. But how do you, and maybe that opens the doors. I mean, maybe I'm being suspect for no reason. And then that leads you to von Braun and, the Japanese Nobel laureate and all that. But I need more fucking details about
100%.
what the thought process was and then how he was physically able to present said thought process to these preeminent minds of the age.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you tie it all together, I mean, it could be just one other part of a giant conspiracy that we're all living under, or he just made some shit up.
Yes, or
there it is.
He was a man that had a real bit of inspiration, happened to be living at a post-war time when, crazy science was something you could present, and found a way. And I wish this was chronicled, this one thing that was like, oh shit, this works. I mean, if you looked at Einstein's revelation of relativity as a piece of fiction, it's just like, a patent clerk doing his thing, kind of an unhappy marriage, whatever. And suddenly this explosive epiphany that literally changes the course of humanity, not only all the sciences and all the computer tech we have today, but actually nuclear weapons. I mean, on and on, the reverberations. If it was written in fiction, it would be almost implausible. But because we know it to be fact, we just accept it. Right. This could be a fact, but it just got sequestered so quickly that we just don't know the process. And if I knew more about the process, I would feel more comfortable thinking, oh shit. But I'm still open to the possibility that maybe, really thin maybe, it actually went down.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, the problem is that there seems to be like almost a fucking decade missing here. Like clearly you did something in a decade. You did some sort of research where you got all these people to invest in this idea.
Yes.
Right? A fucking decade. Like, and there's nothing? There's nothing.
Well, the first part about
there's
that's
something
hard to swallow is that sometime in the 1950s, when? Because 59 and 52, it's only 7 years. It's a big fucking difference. So
yeah, right.
If they built it in 59 and in the early 60s, which could be 61, 64, I don't know.
That's what I mean.
Runa, then you're like, okay, so like 2 years ago, we built this thing and dismantled it, and I've just been doing my priestly duties. But if it's like you say, like a full fucking decade, which it could have been, well, then what the fuck? What were you doing?
Right.
Yeah, that's a big period of time.
It is something I would like to think could exist because all of us want to know. All of us who are curious, not just all the branches of science I mentioned earlier, historians and archaeologists and paleontologists and whatnot, but we would all want to know, like, really what was the transition to, say, and we're narcissists, so I'm okay with this, like proto-humans to human beings. And then if you were somebody like an anthropologist who really wants to study the things that truly affect how human beings live today, then you would look at the Sermon on the Mount. You would look to see what are the basis, of all the world's religions that have a significant effect. And you would also like get behind the scenes on all of these great developmental changes. Like, how does Göbekli Tepe really fit in? I mean, until then it was supposed to be, hunter-gatherers, then vaguely farmers, and then la, 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 la. But you find out that religion played a huge part before the agrarian culture, and science proves it. So now you got to throw all this shit away. I would love to be able to have a glimpse of all of that. But on the other hand, you really, it is a Pandora's box.
Right. So they skipped all that, and they basically tuned into the crucifixion and took a picture off the TV, and we're like, proof. Is that what they did? Did I miss that?
Well, no, go ahead.
Jesus on a cross in an unfinished play, in the fucking Stations of the Cross, apparently, maybe.
And, and Cicero talking and Napoleon fighting.
Right.
That doesn't mean that's all they did. Have you guys seen the show Devs at all? Which is about this dude who built this like clandestine technological thing to kind of get images of his deceased wife and daughter. I'm not going to give it away for people that might see it. It's really interesting. But this whole team of scientists is looking to extract the information from reality itself. Very much. I mean, the writers of the show had to have at least heard of the Chronovisor, because it's something like that. So if they manage to fucking do this, this really opens so many options, but I know I'm getting a flood of thoughts now, so I'm gonna take a pause and jump tracks for a second and say this. The thing that is not discussed in any of the research I found, and the thing that I find most fascinating and most haunting, because it kind of insists that we are in this so-called set reality where everything we do, it matters nothing, is that it could see into the fuck-sucking future. And that to me is like devastating, because to find out that every bit of free will, well, it's actually half devastating, half not. Part of it is like, well, then you are a useless cog that happens to be able to feel things while you're on this fucking odyssey that you have no control over. And I guess part of it is a relief, because every time you've ever fucked up or whatever you do, it's irrelevant. It was fucking predestined. I'm not saying I buy that. That to me is just the most, that's the big gut punch that could come from this. And I would wonder how you would even be able to wrap your mind around it enough to use it to your advantage.
So here, the only thing I will say with that is, just because they went, I don't know how many times they went into the future. I don't know if they went to the same point multiple times, but unless you went to the same point multiple times, that doesn't mean that it's a fixed future. It could be a possible future.
Right. Absolutely.
So that actually doesn't necessarily mean determinism. They could have just went into a possible future. There's no way to tell that unless they went to it multiple times and did something here and the outcome was the same or not, because there's not a control for that. They just went to a point.
Right. You're absolutely right. And so, sorry to interrupt you, Mark. So you really aren't talking about determinism here necessarily, though you might be. You could be talking about tweaking the past to manufacture a future that is somehow more to your liking. And one of the things I would say that either this is a vote for determinism or predestiny, or it's a suggestion that the people involved with using the Chronovisor are completely incompetent, that if it is true, and if the future is manipulatable, and the Catholic Church is in the state it's fucking in with the reputation it has right now, and it knew in the 1950s and beyond what was going to happen in the fucking future, and they didn't do anything to change it, that suggests to me that either that shit is set in stone, or they are wildly incompetent. Or they did something so horrific that just being regarded as a pile of pedophiles who fucking like to, do business with the mafia is much preferable to what it could have been. In which case, the fuck.
Oh, they saw their own future and bailed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
a lot.
So, real quick, just for my own understanding here, the way that they were viewing this, though, is they were literally on a tube TV.
It was a cathode ray.
Okay,
yes.
So that's how they were viewing this.
Yes.
So they literally tuned in, looked at it, and were like, okay, that's the fucking past. And heard, or that's the future. Okay. All right, just making sure I had that under wraps here. So they were literally taking pictures of the TV.
Ripped from electromagnetic radiation.
Okay.
Whatever, ambient or whatever it is, some elements that were trapping the images and sounds of the past, not the reality. I don't think they could directly interact with it, future or past, and then broadcasting it through. So I don't know what kind of exquisite mechanisms, though I know it involved at least 3 precious alloys, through a cathode ray. So it didn't even have like high def sweet quality. They're still literally trapped in 1950s tube technology, which is the shittiest.
It was probably UHF.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It probably looked like fucking Prince of Darkness.
Oh, 100%. The glimpses into the future. Yes.
The asshole TV thing that was just so fucking disturbing and creepy.
Broadcasting from the year 1999.
You're like, where is it? Who's there? What's going on?
Oh, why are you in shadows? God. You're scaring me.
I hate it. I hate it so much. Anyway.
All right, so to round this out, Christopher, Chronovisor, yay or nay? What is your vote, good sir?
I'm gonna say nay, but I'm gonna say nay with the caveat that the ideas were probably there and they probably really did think about these things, but I don't think it ever came to fruition.
Okay, Robert, Chronovisor, yay or nay?
That's a tough one. It really is. Because there's a lot of reasons, a lot of very good reasons to say nay. But What I will say is that both Krasa and the Unmuseum make really good points. Ernetti was a respected scholar. He was called upon, at least throughout Europe, maybe the world, to talk about these things. He wrote these really respected volumes. What is the fucking point of shitty? I mean, it's hard enough for any academic to get a reputation in any field. So even if you're not a household name, who cares? To make up a story about how you could have been the next Einstein, but you put a kibosh on it yourself and do all these things that make you look like an asshole. There's no other way of putting it. To make you look like a fucking jerk in front of society, and then to, come out, granted, supposedly under the authorship of his superiors, and say, nope, I didn't have anything to do with it, and just hide. Like, what academic who works so hard? And, he's clearly got to be passionate about music. He can play all sorts of ancient instruments, I read. He wrote all these different volumes. This is his life. Why fucking shit all over what you have, which is, I guess, if you're a Catholic priest, your immortal soul and your reputation. Why destroy it? At least 50% of that equation, just, I don't know, to impress somebody on a ferry on the fucking Grand Canal? I mean, that to me, that's the one thing that makes me go, it doesn't make sense that this is a complete shit show.
Yeah, it seems like something kind of frivolous to throw your entire career, your Vatican career away on. So yeah, I can. Your
Vatican career.
I don't know. Is that a thing of fucking your Vatican tenure? I guess.
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
If you're going to be a rogue cardinal,
yeah.
If you're going to be part of the splinter cardinal group that saves humanity,
yeah. If you had, but think about this, if you did have that technology and you did use it and you looked at it, like we said earlier, it's going to be for good or evil. So if this group of guys saw it and they were like, oh shit, we went too far, fucking, dismantle this thing and put it away so that no one can use this thing for evil, or give it to the Pope so he can use it for evil, one of the two. If you have that power, I mean,
just so power that's evil versus
absolutely. Evil. Yeah, exactly. So if that does exist, I mean, you're either going to put it away or you're going to use it for a real shit purpose. And I think maybe, I'd like to err on the side that they were fucking good dudes and they saw it and they were like, oh shit, we saw too much. We got to get rid of this fucking thing. Like it's just too much.
Well, let me gray up this situation, because I don't think it's so black and white. I don't think anything is. The automobile kills millions every few years, but it also saves at least as many, if not more, lives through an ambulance. Very few technologies are fucking all good or all bad. A nuclear bomb is pretty much all bad, unless, of course, it's a deterrent that stops a war that prevents hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people of dying on a battlefield because you can't take it to that level. So even things that seem so black and white as that are not exactly black and white. A chronovisor, it's not just you use it for evil or good. You could have good intentions and ill shit can come of it, or you can have bad intentions and maybe accidentally good stuff can happen. I do think that something this powerful would be easily abused. I would not trust it with the United States government. I would not trust it with Pol Pot. I would not trust it in the hands of a government because they would eventually abuse it, even if they thought they had the most noble intent. But I don't necessarily think of it as intrinsically evil, but anything that sees everything that can happen. And if you can change the future, that makes it, I guess, all the more dangerous, because then you could do things that you think maybe are for the best, but spiral out of control to something that's infinitely worse than the thing you were trying to prevent. That's a constant game of roulette that you're almost predestined to fucking shoot yourself. Well, Russian roulette, if that was the case. And I don't know. It seems really shady. But if this thing does exist, as much as I would like to think that in the hands of scholars, it can be put to good and noble purpose and it would be nice. The fact of the matter is, if somebody found out tomorrow this existed, and they were only using it by, some scientists at MIT, and it was very strictly limited, and look at how diverse we are as a society just in America today. People would shit on it even if it was said. It's like, these ivory tower assholes said this is how fucking Buddha gave his first speech, but fuck that. It was clearly fucking this way. And it would just be like, so even if we knew, it would still be a shit show. So even in the best hands with the best intentions, it would still be a cultural fucking meltdown. And anything less than the best intentions would be apocalyptic.
Yeah. So seemingly, I mean, if everyone was logical, other than the future, I mean, this would This would be a visual, actual, truthful fucking Wikipedia.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
but Chris, think of this. If anything that was shown to be against anyone's just intrinsic belief, whether it was something they're raised with, they would lose their mind.
That's why I'm saying if the world was logical, this would be just be history books you can look at.
You're right.
Like, hey, look, this is what happened. Be like, wait a minute. I know there'd be people that would fight against the science if it was true. That's just the way it is. But
right. There's always personal bias is always going to come in. We don't have, I don't know if we ever had a clear-cut truth, but we used to have a general consensus as to what it was. The internet and the world itself has completely abolished that. So even if we had what was considered to be a consensus truth, or at least but even saying that, say you got to hear, for example, again, just to go back to the Christian origins of this whole invention, the Sermon on the Mount, even though somebody who translates Aramaic is telling you what it's being said and you think you hear the tone, there's going to be 27 different theologians that'll be like, oh no, I get a sense that he meant that ironically. Oh no, he meant that with, great empathy for society. Oh no, he meant that as a harsh indoctrination. And so even if you got to hear it and see it, you still don't know the machinations going on in the head of the speaker, in this case, Jesus.
No,
there would still be tons of debate.
I think the only thing we can do is burn it. Burn the chronovisor.
You got to burn it.
You got to burn it. I mean,
and we have to get rid of it. We can't. It's too much power.
It's too much power.
We have to Naruto run our way into the Vatican archives because clearly that's where the good secrets are.
Yeah, exactly. They got the spear of Longinus hanging out there and fucking.
And we can get past those guards. They're wearing like poofy blouses and have spears. I'm sure there's guns in Vatican City. Don't get me wrong, but I think a surprise raid on Vatican City could do a lot.
Totally. So there you have it. Burn the chronovisor. We cannot be trusted with the information, for we will use it for evil. So patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. Thank you to everyone over there that contributes. It means the world to us. It's so dope. You guys are supporting us. Keep that up. The Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks, hit us up there. There's a Facebook group. Check it out. It's dope. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and we're talking with you soon.
Goodbye. Don't lie about the past or the future.
Oh my God. That is a stunning indictment. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
don't do it.
That is.
Try to keep it legit. And if we are already locked into the exact existence that we are predestined to have, make the best of it. Fucking be free of guilt. Do your thing. I mean, don't be free of guilt if you're a serial killer. Cut that shit out. If you're doing evil shit, cut that shit out. Let me say that right now. But if you're just living your fucking life and trying to do right by fuckers, and you yet still feel bad because, some people are prone, you know what? Just know you're doing your best and live your life. And if you're killing people, stop. I got to say that again. There's no endorsement for that.
Yeah, you're fucking right.
Yeah, so if you're a scumbag, cut it out. But if you're a basically good person, you know what? Fucking rock on.
Right.
We love you.
You know what? Just start a podcast with your friends to help you get through your emotional trauma, and you'll be all right.
It worked for us.
Everybody. Sounds good. Perfect. There you go.
Just drink through it.
Exactly.
Literally, those are the two things that were our protocols.
As soon as you get the spins, keep drinking. You'll be fine. It's no big deal. You'll be good. All right. We'll be talking to you.